I've gotten all these nine, no, not nine, sorry, 4, 8, 12 guys pause at the same point in time in their delivery. And that is as soon as the front foot has hit the ground, which we call this position front foot strike. And right when the foot hits the ground, right when the foot hits the ground, right when the foot hits the ground, and so on. So that's where all of these different guys are at this current time, is front foot strike position. We can kind of see that there are some universal things that every pitcher, no matter the size, what handed, arm slot, what it may be, that we want to try to get to some checkpoints. One is at front foot strike is the very first time that our hand, our throwing hand, has flipped up or the hand has gotten above the elbow. And at this point in time, we're looking for the ball to be facing the same direction our chest is. So for lefties, that'd be ball facing first base. Righty, that'd be balls facing third base. We're also looking for our glove to be about like percentage wise, depending on how big of a path your glove took. We're like 70-80% of the way with that glove in its finish. And as we can see here, every one of these guys' gloves is within its body, within their body, right? Within their body. Maybe the elbow's outside, but the glove is within the body. The glove is within the body. Another thing we can see is with a lot of these guys is that we can still see the baseball at front foot strike on their backside, on their backside, on their backside, backside. Still slightly on the backside with Cueto. Same with Charlie Morton down there. Another thing that we can see is belt buckles. I see a whole lot of belt buckles facing us, the target, the catcher. And in order for that to occur, we need the back hip to have been driven forward. All right, we need the back hip, the back hips to start to come forward. And in order for the back hip to come forward, we need to have driven off of our back foot. We need to have driven off our back foot through our big toe, through the big toe, through the big toe, through the big toe. We're not lifting the heel up off the ground. We're like folding the foot over. Imagining that our base of our foot has Velcro on it and we're stuck to another sticky side of Velcro. And we're going to peel our foot off by taking like the outside of our foot and peeling it forward, which then helps bring our knee in, which helps rotate our knee and our foot, and our hip then gets to go forward. So you kind of take that thought process and see how he's kind of peeling it off the ground, while thinking, keep my big toe on the ground so everything can fold over my big toe, over my big toe. And when it gets over the big toe, that's when we can start to see the back hip. And if we do that with Reggie, can't see the back foot as well. Okay, here we go. I can see it better here. He's trying to peel it off the ground. Peel it off the ground through what? Through that big toe. And here comes that back hip. Here comes that back hip. Here comes that back hip into front foot strike. Who else's foot can we see? Okay, we can see Ramon's. Same thing. He's trying to peel that foot off the ground, not lift the heel up. But he's trying to keep the heel on the ground for as long as possible. So then he can roll over the big toe, which then brings that back hip forward. Back hip starting to come forward. Back hip starting to come forward. Back hip starting to come forward. Keuchel, same thing. Peeling that back foot off the ground folding over the front toe, which brings that back hip forward. Chapman's one of the best at it. Boom. 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 All right. So on and so forth. Every one of these guys has their own delivery, their own leg lift, their own stride, but we can see how very similar that back foot drive process is. That's the movement we have to do with the back foot in order to get the shin, knee, thigh, and all the bones in there to move in a specific way that then pushes that back hip forward. That then pushes that back hip forward. Pushes that back hip forward. Okay? From there, we can see that the stride direction is very different from one another, right? Like we have like Sanchez, Ramon, Familia, all very similar positions with their stride. And then you got guys like Crawford, Chapman, Keuchel, who are kind of more slightly like this front foot's going towards like and lined up with like their back foot's toes, where like Sanchez, Ramon, and Familia's front foot is lined up with like their back foot's heel. And then you got guys who are even more extreme than that, where like Arrieta, Nathan Evaldi, Joe Kelly, Johnny Cueto, and Charlie Morton, where their front foot is striding in front of their back foot's front toe. So for the righties, third base side of their front or the back toe. So what's going to happen now, because each of these guys have all gotten the back hip to come through, all of their upper bodies are relatively in very similar positions, but their front feet are all in different spots. Like these three, same spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, same spot. And then, excuse me, these guys in their own spots. So like class 1, class 2, and then class 3, if we call it that. So what we have to think about now is all of the rotational energy of that back hip coming forward and this front hip opening up. That's rotation energy. All of the energy of that back foot driving us forward into that stride, into front foot strike, driving energy back from the backside to the front side, driving energy from the backside to the front side, driving energy from the backside to the front side. That's a linear energy. So we need to take that linear energy and that rotational energy that our lower half has gone through, and now we need to send it up to our upper half as quickly as we can, so that way as our upper half is going through its rotational energy, it can be fed that lower half's energy. So then the upper half can work even faster, even smoother, even more stress-free on the arm to produce maximum amount of power. So if we watch the guys that have the knee, or the stride rather, in the very same position, so Sanchez, Ramon, and Familia, if we watch, their knee is not going to move hardly at all to the glove side, to the glove side. It's just going to pretty much lock out, which allows that back shoulder to come forward, which allows that, which then allows the back shoulder to come forward. Which allows the back shoulder to come forward. Now you have the guys where the knee is slightly like across the body or in front of the body, like the Crawford. We will see as he rotates, the knee will slightly roll out, but then it'll quickly stop and lock out the same way these legs locked out. So Crawford is going to start to swivel out a little bit, and now it's not going to swivel no more, and it's going to just lock out so the back shoulder can rotate energy down and out in front the same way. So Keuchel, we said, was in the same similar situation. We'll see his front knee slightly roll out. There's that slight roll out from there to there, but now it's going to lock out the rest of the way. Boom, 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 boom. We might see a slight little roll out here on Lester. Nope, it just held the whole time until it locked out. Chapman is probably not going to roll out at all. It's going to just lock out from there. Boom. Oh, little roll out, but then locked out from there. Okay, now the guys that have the far stride across their body, who are what people would say they're striding across their body or throwing across their body. Watching what the knee does there, just stays in place. It's just locking out, and then his body comes through that leg or around that leg. Same thing, locking out, and then the body's coming around that leg or through the leg. Joe Kelly, just locking out, and then coming through that leg or around that leg. Cueto is just staying. Oh, that doesn't go much further. Sorry. Wish I would have known that. Charlie Morton doesn't go anywhere, just locks out. So you can rotate around it or through it. Okay, so with those thoughts in mind about the things we're looking for at front foot strike and what that then allows our body to do after while we throw the baseball, we will then get you guys into your front foot, or show you what you guys look like at your front foot strike position after one more time of getting to see again what these positions look like at front foot strike, which again is the moment that front leg or your stride leg, your leg lift leg makes contact with the ground. So there's front foot strike again. Glove by body. Looking to have arm back behind head, if not even to behind our back. We're looking to see belt buckle, and most importantly, that back hip coming forward or through. The reason it's come forward or through is because the back foot has turned over and rotated and driven away or peeled away from the pitching rubber. And then we want to make sure that that front knee, when it lands, the position it's in, depending on where the front foot lands, if it's straight in front, like tier 1 over here, like we said, then it just locks out. Locks out. If it's in like the tier but next to that, then it can roll out a little bit, but then it's got to lock out from there. And we notice that it always locked out and stopped moving and stabilized. It rolled a little bit, It rolled a little bit, then it stabilized. And look, the ball still hasn't even came from behind his head yet. By the time it stabilized, and now it's just locking out, locking out, locking out. Or if we're way across our body, we have to just straight lock it out from there and really make sure that we can get that back hip to keep continuing to come through. Keep continuing to come through. It's a little fun tongue twister. Make sure it keeps coming through. Make sure the back hip keeps coming through if we're getting our stride across our body. Again, there's nothing wrong with throwing across our body. We just got to make sure that that hip can keep coming through. And then just like we saw with the big leaguers, here's all of us at that front foot strike position. So the moment our front foot has hit the ground, the moment our front foot has landed in the ground, the moment our front foot has hit the ground. Oh, I zoomed in, so I gotta go. Moment it has gone all the way into the ground. Into the ground. Front foot, heel, all the foot in the ground. Inside of the foot, all of the foot in the ground. All right, so that's what each of us look like at front foot strike. So let's look at some of those things that we just described in the big leaguers that we're looking for. We'll start from like the top down. And can we see our throwing arm behind our head and up elevated at all? And we can see that the hand hasn't quite turned up yet. The hand hasn't quite... Oops, I'm reversing the wrong one. You can see the hand is down, starting to come up, but the foot's already down before it's all the way up. We can see same thing over here. The hand hasn't flipped up yet. We don't know where it's at, so it could just be right behind here in a perfect position. We'll be able to better tell when we look at the side view videos. Same thing here. Don't really know. We can definitely see here because the shoulders have started to rotate already. We don't want the shoulders to rotate until after this front foot has gotten in the ground. Stride, drive, and rotate the lower body until the front foot hits the ground. Then the upper body rotates and drives itself out. Lower body first, then upper body. All right, same thing here. We can assume it's probably in a really good spot. We can't see it behind, but it's also because our front shoulder is slightly opened a little bit here. We can see shoulders in a good spot here. And then it's just starting to open up just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. That front shoulder is starting to open before that front foot hits. But it's in a position that if we can hold it, we're going to be just fine. And we'll see that and take a look at that later on. Here's that arm. It's in that good upward position at this point. But again, we can kind of see another guy whose front shoulder is starting to open early. Front shoulder's opening early, which now reduces our upper lower half separation. And for those of us who don't remember that term from last year or weren't around on the team last year to hear that, upper lower half separation, or another term for that is shoulder hip separation. That means how much can our lower half be rotated and our upper half not be rotated. The more that we can get of that at front foot strike, a couple things are going to happen. One, the more power we're going to be able to create. And two, the stress that runs through our arm when we throw is going to be significantly reduced, because we will now be able to throw with our body's cumulative or total strength and power, and not just be relying on what our arm can produce in power. So, like we were saying, is trying to see that belt buckle. Obviously, we don't have belt buckles on because we don't have baseball pants except for one of us, and we can't see the belt buckle. Another thing we're looking for is, can we see that back hip starting to come through, which would be a lot easier to see in baseball pants because we can see belt loops and stuff, and if it wasn't so darn dark in this corner. But between the belt buckle and that throwing arm is the glove that I forgot to talk about. We want to be seeing that glove like we saw in those videos of the big leaguers, is in that finish position or starting to finish, like boom, good, 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 and we talked about that and how the glove's so low, 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 low. It's going to be hard for it to be in a good finish position up here if it was straight out of the out of hand separation, was just straight down. Good position, outside of the fact that the front shoulder is starting to be already opened. It's starting to open early. Good glove position. The glove wants to be finishing good, but it's also taking us where? Where's the glove? It was starting here, and then it's getting here. So from here to here is sending energy this way, and that's where then this shoulder gets in that same angle, and now all of the good power that we could have or would have or did create with the lower half leading up the front foot strike is now going in this direction. And we need it to be going in this direction, straight to our target. And that's why the shoulders are at such a drastic tilt. And you're going to see in the further process of these videos that everyone's going to have some tilt to the shoulders, but at a certain point it's too much, and we end up losing power and adding stress to the arm. Boom. And we can see that this glove is probably, if we continue it, going to be a good glove finish. Let's see. Yep, just chilling right there, not affecting anything, but we just got to make sure that it's a low down there, that as long as the shoulder doesn't open up and it's the backside that comes through, we're going to be okay with this glove being pretty nonchalant down here. All right, because that's just pretty much a dead arm at that point. All right, your glove arm has pretty much just turned into a dead arm, dead arm, dead arm, dead arm, which would be the same process if the glove was just bent more towards your chest. So we're going to be good with that glove finishing in that path because it's not swooping out, kind of like how this one is swooping out, out, out. That's what happens when the glove is low. Your glove is low, but it's not swooping out. It's a nice little like dead arm, dead left arm, dead left arm. So yeah, at front foot strike, glove is in a good position. All right, then we got to see hip, knee, foot, and what kind of angle that creates, because the more inside that knee is, and it has this type of less than sign shape to it, the more difficult it is going to be for this knee not to want to roll out to get more in line with that foot before we're able to throw this baseball. And any movement that this knee does that's going outwards from this moment on is going to be loss of our power. We're going to be losing power if any of our knees roll out before it begins a lockout process, before that front leg locks out. So let's go ahead and kind of look at the different positions our front leg is in, from our hip to our knee to our foot, our hip, knee to our foot, hip, knee into our foot. And the more we could say we see the kneecap, the easier it's going to be to keep the knee from wanting to roll out and lose power. Because from this point in time, we don't want the lower half to rotate anymore. We want the back hip to keep coming through, which makes the hips look like they're rotating more. But it's just the back hip coming through all the way. Then it's the upper half doing all of the rotation. Why do we want the upper half to do that after? Because we're going to take all that energy from that lower half and all that rotation from that lower half, and we're going to shoot it up to the upper half and use it as a multiplier to what our upper body already rotates at. So what our upper body can spin at and throw, if we do this sequence of movements on time while going down this mound, a good lower half will multiply our upper half. So the more that we can get this back hip driven forward at front foot strike, and we keep the shoulders back and they don't start to rotate forward, they don't start to rotate through yet, but we stay closed and we stay closed at front foot strike and maximize how much our belt buckle comes through, and then maximize the amount that that front knee can stay still and only lock out or straighten out this front leg while the upper body rotates, we will have maximized the amount of power our body can produce. And that's ultimately what we want to do. Because not only will we then throw as hard as we possibly can, but we will also be throwing with our entire body, start to finish, from the ground up, which reduces the stress that goes through the arm when we throw the baseball. Win-win. So what we're going to do is we're going to play each of the videos and get them looping through so you can see what your knee looks like and what's happening for the rest of your delivery from this position onwards, and then the movements that got you to this position. So kind of just take a moment and kind of remember what this looks like right here as your front foot strike position. So now every time you see your delivery playing, you can kind of anticipate what this is going to look like at front foot strike. So, boom. Uh-oh. Who's got audio? You got it. Found you. Actually, put that back there. Thought I had all of them muted. Shame on me. Another one, no, I muted. Just want to Before I get into each individual, I just want to make sure everything is fully seen on everyone's. Make sure I don't have to pull or move anyone to a spot. Okay, so what we're going to do from here on out is I'm going to pull up one at a time, make it bigger, and go through that, break that down individually. So we'll just start up top and we'll just run left to right, top to bottom. So let's zoom back out so it's easier for me to control. Okay, so from the top of the leg lift, who is this? Is this Constantineau? Yeah, okay. Great to be able to put 2 and 2 together today with you and your older brother. So at this point in time, as you're watching this, I want you to, like, if your brother is near you, I want you to just go sneak up on him and just punch him in the arm as hard as you can. All right, so your front foot strike position, like we said, really good up top. Okay, and once we see the side view to be able to know what position this arm is in, we'll be able to confirm a lot of things. But what we can say is if we watch your back foot and we zoom in on that back foot, all right, and we watch what this is doing, everyone can benefit from this and just seeing how that back foot is driving, excuse me, driving away from that pitching rubber, applying force through the big toe. Think of that Velcro, and we're peeling the Velcro off our foot. When we do that movement and we drive through that big toe, boom, that brings that back hip forward. And that's what we need. That's what we want. That's where we're going to start to get our power from our lower half. Not only are we getting our power from our lower half by doing that, but we've really driven our hips as far forward as we possibly can. And that's something that we can really see well from the side view as well. But fantastic. That's a really good job with that backside drive. We are a guy that's going to have a slight knee in here. So now it's just seeing and making sure that this thing does not wobble out as we throw, and we try to keep this as stable and strong as possible so that way the energy that we drove from the back leg to this front leg now can get shot up to the upper body, and it's got to go through the knee first. So if the knee rolls, that energy's got to finish that roll, stop, and then it can go up. And if it takes too long, it won't get up in time before the ball's already out. So if we watch over these next few frames, we can see it kind of slide out a little bit, and then it's stable, and then we're throwing. So we back that up. We can see how the knee foot lands. And even we're landing slightly on the inside of our foot. So we got to learn how to feel what it feels like to get this knee to rotate more, to get this bone in our body, and I forget what it's called, to go from, let's say if it was going from your hip to us, a straight line, that'd be 180 degrees. And in our leg lift, like as it's starting to come up, if these stripes were straight to the side, we'd call that 90 degrees. We need to be able to get this right here from 90 to 110, 120, 130, 140, 150 only right here. We want to think about getting this bone to 160, 170, 180. Then the foot hits the ground. Or as the foot's hitting the ground, it's getting more to that 180. Because your body wants it to be more here before that ball's out, and then we lock out that leg. or we're trying to lock out that leg, rather. So we just need to rotate and open up this front leg a little bit more. So all this good power that we're driving from this backside has the opportunity to work its way up to our upper body and really amplify the power that you're able to produce. Because everything else, I mean, how we rotate our trunk forward, how we get our trunk out in front through rotation, everything is just real nice. We're just losing how much we can get because this front knee here is just slightly swiveling out before it gets to a good strong position to start to try to stabilize. So all of this was just time that we couldn't get our lower half power to go up to our upper half because it's rotating. Now we can start to get it sent up. So now we just don't have a whole lot of time to use it before that ball's out. But everything else is very good looking. Let me zoom back out. Okay, so our big focus is going to be front leg rotation. Okay, next. Great high leg lift, nice and relaxed body while we're doing it. Getting this into a good strong position with the thumbs down, palm out, elbow elevated, looking over our shoulder, keeping our upper body closed. We can see this front leg going through its opening or its rotational phase, while also that glove is going through its finish. We can see that good scap load, meaning the elbows are pinching together type movement, which is really the scapular muscles in our back contracting and pinching together. If you think about a pencil's on your spine between your shoulder blades and you got to pinch your shoulder blades together to keep that pencil there, that's a scap load. Okay, but like we said, it looks like the hand is late getting up. It's just right here at this time where we need it to be more like up here at front foot strike. So we got to figure out why this arm is late, and it's going to be because this back foot, we can see like we saw in Constantineau. I don't know how many times I can say that in a row and still be pretty darn confident that I said it right. We can see how we saw in his back foot how well it was driving to the target through that big toe. And then the front foot was hitting the ground. We can see your front foot hitting the ground, and we haven't done that movement yet. When do we do that movement? You're doing it right now. And when that movement happens, when the back hip, driving forward, is exactly the same time that the throwing arm flips up into this position. So if we go back here and we watch and we zoom in, as this back foot is driving, that last little bit, watch this throwing arm flip up. It's flipping up. It's flipping up. So we'll be able to see that better from the side view, but that's just something that we can know is at your front foot strike position, the front leg looks like it's going to be in a really good spot for you. The back leg just has not driven forward yet, so we're leaving power potential on the shelf. It's just arm's length away. Just grab it and let's just use it, because Everything else with your body, holy smokes, dude. Your frame, fantastic. Your projectability because of that frame, with how smooth your body is moving and how well it's connected, and how just overall everything's looking very, very, very good. And especially to see now that there's more power potential even out there, um, should make you happy. Um, with this arm being so late as well, because we haven't turned it over, that is also going to be a heavy contributor to why we have some erratic, um, erratic throws that get yanked to your glove side, um, because everything coming through rotationally is going to be pretty late. So there's a good chance that we hold on to the ball for way too long and we get this way too far out in front of us. And now this ball is just going to go hard over here. And I believe even this video here was one that you threw the ball and it went straight into the net over to the side, like 3/4 of the way to the plate. And that's going to be mostly because you're having to do so much upper body rotation from here onwards that pulls this back leg through. So we have to start rotating upper body, boom, just to get the leg through. And now it's like, okay, now I can finally throw, but I don't have time to actually throw anymore. It's got to be out of my hand super quick at this point, but we still have a lot more to go, which just puts us a lot further in front of us at release. And that just kind of is just too much, and that we end up yanking it. But the good news is that's going to be very easily correctable for you. So we're going to be able to get some extra power and a lot of command. Hopefully a lot of command with this not simple, but with this one adjustment that's just driving off that back foot in time, so that we can get this motion with the back foot before the front foot hits the ground. Not front foot hit the ground, then the back foot drive. And that'll be something that we can see from the side view a lot easier as well. But everything else is very good. Upper body's rotating well. It just needs to have better timing at release. And the only way we can get that better timing at release is with the backside firing on time. And it's just not firing on time right now. It's late. Everything else is, yeah, good. That head's just right there. Everything's going through it nice and well. Everything's finishing real well. It's a good delivery, man. Things that we worked on last year really seem to have stuck with you. So good for you. Good for you on that. All right, next guy. Yeah. Oops. Okay. So let's get you from the top. All right, so you kind of notice what the head's doing. And it was doing it every single pitch. I don't want to make a comment of it because it doesn't necessarily a bad thing, but something just to kind of think about is the posture you have here with your upper body. And then as soon as the head starts to go, how everything kind of tilts a little bit with that upper body. And now we're kind of hunching just a little bit, hunching just a little bit, hunching just a little bit. And then that hunch gets even more. Now we kind of got this going on here. And I wonder if the head doing that is what leads to all that hunching versus like something that's a little bit more taller the whole time, a little bit taller the whole time, a little bit taller and ready to go the whole time. And again, we're not trying to be like everyone else, but just something to be thinking about, because when we get this hunched, we're going to have to get out of that position at some point in time. And here it is, right? We're hunched, and now we're unhunched. And we can see how by the time we get the front foot strike, boom, that unhunch is kind of getting us to almost this type of arch now with our body, which is not a bad position to be at front foot strike, as long as it doesn't continue to go from being this way to getting straight to getting this way to not getting more that way, because then that would mean our energy is going that way. But if we can be from here and now drive this back shoulder forward, we're going to be looking real good. So let's take a look. And we can see that front shoulder just ever so slightly wants to kind of rotate out, swivel out, and that's what brings the back shoulder through. But it doesn't continue to go. It comes out, and then it stabilizes, and then the back shoulder comes through. So I'm working on a sneeze. Hold on. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. We're going to have to see from the side view what that looks like and kind of compare the two to know for sure if we need to even address the hunch. Because if this hunch that then unhunches, that then leads to a little bit of a tilt, does not mess up the direction of this back shoulder and the energy that we see going to our target, which looks like it's relatively good. It's just a matter of how much are we getting down through this rotation versus just out, will be an answer. Because if we're good, we don't need to worry about this. If we do need to worry about this, then the easy correction, or the easy first step to correction, is just keep the eyes on the target the whole time. Don't look down. Because if we don't look down, maybe everything else doesn't happen with the hunch. So let's continue onwards. Leg lift, good height. We can see we're getting the hip out in front, and we're driving. We can see that front foot, front knee, doing a good job rotating. That front knee doing a good job rotating into our foot strike. We can see that back foot as well is doing that drive off of the mound, peel off the mound movement, and then foot strike. But we can see it's just not all that much. More of it's just heel off the ground. We can see the toe and the crease in the foot, and it's wanting to. It just doesn't get to do it until now it's turned over. But now it's too late. Front foot's been already on the ground this whole time. And if the front foot's on the ground, that means the brakes are on. We've already transferred energy from back to front. All right, energy's already been transferred to the front because the front foot has hit the ground now. Can't drive any more energy forward with the lower half because the brakes are on. Front foot's in the ground. And now we'll be able to see from the side view this easier, but we can also tell that the toes hit first. There's that crease in the shoe. Toes hitting first, then the heel hits. Why do we think that is? That is because the backside has not driven yet. When the backside drives, we said the hips go forward. If the hips are going forward, the body's going forward. If the body's going forward, the front foot's going forward. If the front foot's going forward, means it's not going to land here and then heel hit the ground. It's going to land like here. And when it lands there, it's going to land all at once there, not toe and then heel. if that makes sense. So we just need to learn how to get the backside to drive on time, because everything up here looks like it's going to be very, very good. Everything up there looks like it's going to be very, very good. So, good stuff there, dude. All right. And oh, excuse me. Okay, so we had a good high leg lift. But we can kind of see from even just from this perspective here, we're just kind of going down, 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 and not really coming towards the target yet. That'll be something that'll be very eye-opening and easy to see from the side video once we get there. And we'll be able to confirm if that's true or not. But just from here, it kind of looks like we're just going up and down. We're just in a elevator, it looks like. We want to be on an escalator or going down a slide for momentum's sake, to gain energy. But as we continue, we can kind of see, watch how this glove just goes down. See how this is kind of going down and out? Even that elbow is just kind of going out, out, out. That's what then leads to your shoulders going that way. Your front shoulders going that way. So your shoulders opening up, opening up, opening up. And as your front shoulder opens up, what comes forward? Your throwing shoulder. So your front shoulder is pulling or dragging your back shoulder through. We don't want that to be the case. We want our back shoulder to drive forward. We want our back shoulder to drive forward, okay, which would look more like back shoulder driving forward. It's pretty close there. Could also say, want to be able to see back shoulder drive forward. Yeah, that's going to be one of our better examples that we've seen so far. So watching the back shoulder drive forward. Back shoulder drives forward versus front shoulder opens up, opens up, opens up, opens up. Backside drives forward, which then lets downhill release versus more of an up, more of an up, more of a up release. Okay, but we see at foot strike, gloves in a good spot, but like we said, elbow takes it out and gets the shoulders there. But what is something that we do pretty well, this knee right here doesn't sway. It does. It does. It does. It does. See how that knee just sways out? It hits, and initially it wants to stay good, and then it sways out. It sways out. It sways out. It sways out. If we look over here and see how hits, locks out, locks out, locks out. Same with over here. Knee hits, locks out, locks out, locks out, locks out. We got knee hit, and it's swiveling, and it's swiveling, and it's swiveling, and it's swiveling. It doesn't stop swiveling until after the ball is already out. which means our ability to command is going to be very difficult. Our ability to rotate out in front is going to be difficult because our body is constantly going somewhere different as we're trying to throw. And our ability to create power down through the zone is going to be difficult as well because we are never going down or out to our target. We're constantly swaying out. So it's a big kind of guessing game. So we need to work on our stability of our lower half at front foot strike. That's going to be our big focus. It's going to be front foot strike stability, both into front foot strike and both then into and through release. All right, over here. Real good high leg lift. Real good high leg lift. One thing I want you to think about is eyes, okay? And just kind of noticing where your eyes are at. Down. Eyes are down, eyes are down, eyes are down, eyes are down, eyes are down. Now, we, in the stretch, like we talked about, want to be aggressive, quick to the plate. And in order to be aggressive and quick to the plate, we need to see the plate. And just like driving a car, no one wants to look out their window on the side and drive their car forward very quickly for very long before their eyes want to look ahead to see where they're going so they can drive faster and be more comfortable. Same thing with us. If our eyes are looking down over here, our body wants to just be here because that's what we're seeing. We want to throw forward. We want to go forward. We want to be aggressive forward. We need our eyes to be forward. So thinking about keeping eyes on our target once we get that leg lift starting to come up, so that way we can see where we want to go and we can start going quick. Because we can see this with how high our leg lift is, that's taking up time. And we can see that we just now have started to pick up home plate, and yet our body has not begun to go to home plate yet. So high leg lift takes more time. If the leg goes all the way up and starts to come down before we start to go forward, we've taken a lot of the time that we have to be able to throw a ball to our catcher just to do that process. And we still have to get the foot down, rotate the upper body, get the ball out of our hand, get it to travel to the catcher catch the ball, him get the ball out, have the ball travel to second baseman or shortstop catch it, and make a tag, all before that base runner runs his 80-foot base paths, which he's taken at least a 10, 12-foot lead. So we can say 70-foot that he has to run in less than all that time. So we don't want to be taking a lot of time from here to get going. So what we want to think about is like at this height of your leg lift, we want to start getting those hips to go forward. So that way, as the leg continues to come up, we've begun to get some momentum to come to the target. So that way now the leg starts to come down, and now we're already off to the races with our body. So let's continue. After that, we can see we get the beginning stages of a good, strong power position. Glove extending out well. It's starting to come into a good finish position. We can see that scap low that we talked about, those elbows coming together, or that shoulder blades pinching together. Thinking that pencil on the spine and hold it there together between your shoulder blades. That's that scap load. We can see that occurring well there. And then we land with a closed front foot, which is okay. But we can just kind of notice the way it lands is inside of the foot. Then it rolls to the flat part of the whole foot on the ground. And we can see what that does to that shin and that knee is it kind of jolts it, kind of hits and then jolts it. And now that knee does a good job of not rolling out. It stays there. It hits and doesn't roll out, which shows stability and strength in that leg. But it has a difficult time locking out and straightening out until well after the ball is out of our hands. And that's when we can see how much we go really onto that tippy toe and kind of hit hard at the end. None of that is bad. None of that is like detrimental to us. That's just kind of something that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 5 kind of thing. You know, like we can see that the back foot is starting to do that drive motion, trying to turn over that big foot. Wanting to turn over the big foot or the big toe, but then the front foot hits the ground and it's a little late coming through, it looks like. We'll be able to see that a lot easier on the side view. But what it does potentially look like is notice how early the back heel comes off the ground. So it's already coming off the ground. It's already coming off the ground. Already coming off the ground. If we kind of compare this to someone that we said does that movement very well, and we'll get Constantineau back up. Whew, I think that's 3 for 3. And we watch that back foot, and let's make this a little bit quicker and let's get you. Okay, so we'll try to find a point in time that's very similar. So like right here and right here are very similar for you guys in time. So then we'll take you some more in time to right before it's about to come off. Okay, we'll get similar point in time, probably about there. Say like there. Okay. And then see the back heel starting to come off, back heel starting to come off, back heel starting to come off. And it's still coming off, still coming off, still coming off, still coming off. And we're not really turning over that foot yet. So then we'll come over here and we'll see that the heel is still staying on. The heel is still staying on. It may be coming off, but it's not going up off. It's not coming up in the air off. It's folding over, turning over, folding inwards, 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 and driving forward, then the foot hits. We see that your foot doesn't start to drive forward until now. And then it kind of just stops. Just kind of stops for some reason. And hopefully we'll be able to answer that question better when we see it from the side view. But we're going to want to focus on this back foot staying better in the ground for longer and then learning how to fold over our big toe or drive through our big toe, which I got some real good, easy, fun drills to do to learn that. But it looks like we may just be a little bit late with that process. But again, it'll be easier to see on the front view, or I'm sorry, from the side view once we get there. Another thing we're going to want to definitely think about is learning the surface of this mound and the angle it is, and learning how to land with the foot a little bit more flat and not have it be that inside and then outside. All right. We can also want to think about trying to keep these shoulders more closed. So the position they're in now, with where the logo of your shirt is facing the first base dugout, we want to think about that's still the case, like we see over here at front foot strike, versus by the time that front foot gets flat into the ground, we can just see a little bit more how your shoulders are more open, just a little bit more open than what we have going on over here. So if we think in like degrees of angles, maybe it's like 5-10 degrees extra, but that's gonna be 5 to 10 degrees extra of rotational thwah to throw with versus bah to throw with. But we do a lot of really good things with that leg lift and the lower body. That's going to set us up for a lot of good potential for extra power to come through. So, especially as a lefty, finding ways to sneak power in is always to our advantage. Like I said, that glove swivel at the end is real good, real clean. That right there with the glove is looking good. So a lot of things we do well is just now trying to clean up our timing and our movements and our sequencing and order of stuff to maximize our power, which also will maximize our ability to command the ball and create spin, which creates movement. So there's that. All right. To the top. Pretty good leg lift. Okay. It's above hip height, so that's at least above a good minimum standard. See those hips looking like they're wanting to start to lead the way. Hopefully we're gaining some ground and not just going straight down the elevator, but we're starting to go down the escalator. We'll be able to tell that from the front, or rather from the side view. So our glove is in a good strong position here with that thumb down, palm out, but we can see from shoulder to elbow it's pretty low, and that's doesn't have like an elbow up position. We'll see that in Constantineau here with that boom, like elbow up. We'll see it over here with that elbow up like position. I believe we saw it over here with oh man, I forgot how you told me we said your name, and I just said it's going to be BB because of the two B's in your name. We're going to get you to throw BBs. You see how that elbow's up in here. We see it over here. I don't want to not show love where it could be shown. Yeah, elbows up over here. We want to be thinking about that, because that's going to help us stay strong on our front side. It's going to help keep us closed. When it's down here, it's very quick to want to be able to start to be open. And we're going to see that it gets right back to trying to be in this position. So to start low, just to get it back up here, isn't a bad thing. But what we want to see is, watch what your throwing arm is doing. It gets up here so early. It gets up here too early. Your arm, when I say gets up here, I mean your hand above your elbow. And this will be something we'll discuss when we see the side view, because it'll be a lot easier to explain, see, and understand. But when the hand gets above the elbow, that's not supposed to be occurring until front foot strike. Front foot strike. Front foot strike. It's not happening yet, but it should be right there. Boom. Front foot strike-ish. A very good front foot strike position if it happened at that time. But we see the heel didn't do it. But there, boom. That's still a good front foot strike-ish position. Okay? Boom. That's the first time that hand got above the elbow. Hand above elbow. First time the hand is getting above the elbow is right there, right there, right there. Okay, let's see. Over here. Hand does not get above the elbow until right at front foot strike. We can see it coming over here. Look, hands even with the elbow right there. Now hands above the elbow. Hands above the elbow. Hands above the elbow at front foot strike. Hands coming up at front foot strike. Up at front foot strike. Hands below elbow. There it is. Now it's above elbow at front foot strike. Then you can see your hand. It's already above the elbow. Already above the elbow. Already above the elbow. Now it wants to go back down just to go up again. Why does it want to go down? After it's already up, it goes down to get right back up again. Why? Because it wants to be down to get this whip effect, get this whip effect, get this whip effect. So in order to get that whip effect, we need the hand to be down. We need it to be down, then up, then down. Down, then up, then down, then up. That's the whip. Wabam, wabam. Wabam, wabam. That's the whip. Wabam, wabam. That's the whip. We are really struggling to get that whip because of how quickly you raised it up. Now it just wants to just stay up, and then it's going to kind of just drag a little bit, and we just kind of get around it just a little bit. Front leg does a really good job of getting to a position of trying to hold. We can see it struggles to lock out. And is it because the fact that we have good hip-knee alignment, but then the foot's inside of it, and the foot's opened up inside of it? I think that could be. Is it because if we look at hip, knee, toes, that's straight. We just gotta get the heel over there, which would get the shin here. Then would the knee need to roll out more? Hopefully not, but maybe it still does. But we need to think about firming up this front knee so it doesn't swivel like this. It doesn't swivel after the front foot hits the ground. We want it to be nice and sturdy, firm, and stable. So that way energy can get sent up. Energy can't get sent up until that straightens out, or at least stops moving. It stopped moving now, but look how close the ball is to coming out of our hands. It's already out. Okay, but we can see is how your back foot is moving. It's doing a really good job of driving and turning over. 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 Backside leg, real good. Front side hip knee, real good. It's just knee to ankle and the shin, and the ankle to the toes with the foot. Need to figure out what they're going to do. So that way, once we hit this ground with that front leg, boom, this knee is not going to want to wobble out before it stops moving. So that way it can land, not move, and straighten out. That'll maximize our power. So we're very close. Very, very close. All right. Good leg lift. Good little flow with the hands and the knees at that top there. Trying to stay like nice and relaxed. We can see we getting body's going forward there. That's for sure. We'll be able to tell from the side view if that's starting early or if that's a little too late. Because we get pretty darn low here. And it doesn't look like we've traveled very far away from the rubber yet. So I'm worrying that we're kind of just going down, 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 down. And now we'll just end up going out, 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 which is going to make it difficult for us to then throw the ball down, 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 down. When we've already gone so much down so early, there's no more down to go. But we'll see. We see that backside foot doing a real good job driving away from the pitching rubber, driving away from the pitching rubber, driving away into our front foot, driving into our front foot, driving into our front foot. But like we talked about earlier, that glove path kind of is opening us up, opening us up, opening us up. So that way, by the time the foot does hit the ground, that energy has been going that way for so long that the shoulders are going to continue now in that direction, which tilts us in this huge steep angle, which is beyond an angle that is going to be a healthy angle or a powerful angle. We're just barely on the wrong side of that. We want to be seeing more of a somewhere in here to here. Okay. And this is an illusion because Constantineau, ooh, that wasn't as clean. See, I shouldn't be saying it so much. Constantineau has his trunk from his shoulders to his hips are way out in front. He's got really good forward trunk tilt. Really good forward trunk tilt. You're not really tilting your trunk forward as much as it's just angling this way and tilted to the side of your body like it is here. So yeah, it looks like the shoulders are that angle, but it's really not. And we can tell that because of the head. His head is a lot more up and down still because his shoulders are a lot more up and down. It just is, this shoulder is probably a good 4 inches more towards us than that back shoulder is. So that's our big tell, is seeing how much your head is tilted with your neck versus this head angle with the neck. And then let's see another shoulder position. We'll see another shoulder angle position. So just kind of some different varieties. Everyone's their own, but we can just see how much drastically different your position has found you in. And it's because of that glove and that elbow. Just from here, going here, then leads to there, which then takes us there. But the backside is driving power well. Backside's driving power well. Front side's hitting and stabilizing well. So if we're able to command our pitch, if we're able to throw off-speed pitches well, this may not be something that we necessarily need to like obsess over, right? Because this could just be like your funkiness, right? Like this offers a lot of opportunity for like big 12-6 curveballs, or bringing in like, here's you releasing this ball here, and then imagine like big fella starts the game and he's releasing balls out of this slot. Then you come out of the bullpen, he goes 4 innings, you come in, you pitch 2 innings right here, and then Constantineau comes out of the pen to close it out, and then his arm slot's here. Like that gives you guys some variety of boom, 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 seeing different slots, let alone bring in a lefty who's now bringing something like this. So I don't want to say like we have to change this because it's going to add some variety to your guys' pitching staff. But if we're finding ourselves that a lot of our pitches are missing high arm side because of the fact that we're yanking this way, which pops energy this way, a high arm side miss, or because we're yanking energy this way, we pull a pitch this way and we yank it glove side, high arm side, low glove side, like 95% of the time are the same mechanical error. And it's usually because of the front side opening up and yanking. If we see that's a high tendency of us, then we're definitely going to want to address this. But if we can command our stuff, this may not have to be something we really obsess over, like I was saying, and we can just find things that can be a really strong strength of yours from that unique position. All right, last dude, and then I got to go to bed. freaking late. All right. So from the top, one thing to kind of think about, we just kind of see it in your face. It's kind of tight and tense. Just want to try to stay as relaxed as we possibly can. We can just do that through some breathing stuff. We can talk about that if you remind me next week. But if we watch that front foot, it's opening up really well, getting that knee turned over, getting that in a good alignment. If we zoom in and take a look at the back foot, we can see that it's holding the rubber good with the heel, and then it's starting to turn over. It's starting to turn over. Then the front foot hits, then it really turns over. So if we can just get that back foot to turn over a little bit more before that front foot hits, we'll be getting some more power. Because we can see that back knee is angling here. It doesn't turn all the way over until here. But we can see that back foot isn't driving us forward anymore. Why? Because the front foot's in the ground, aka our brake. We can't drive anything from back to front if front's already in the ground. So now it just kind of spins in place, and it's spinning in place while the back shoulder is also trying to rotate forward. So the back shoulder rotating is actually what's causing that back foot to actually get to go here. So the back shoulder is making the leg do that. The back shoulder is getting slowed down a little bit because it's having to pull this with it, ever so slightly. So we get that backside to fire a little bit earlier, maybe, or we just get more comfortable with that movement so we can do it faster, quicker, more aggressively. So then it finishes quicker, aka on time, aka now, instead of now. And like we can see, this is slow motion, and it's just little tiny movements. It's just little bits of being on time. And it's landing with us being here where our shoulders are open, but our lower body's good, or being here where our upper body's good and our lower body just hasn't really gotten everything out of it yet. So it's just those little bits that then add up to why you may throw a mile an hour slower than someone like over here. Even though the size and the build may be very similar, those are the reasons. Those are the little things that add up to plus 3 or 4 extra miles an hour. But everything else is is looking pretty sweet. So let's take a look at that front leg. Once it hits, knees there, and it doesn't move, it just locks out. It's locking out, stiffening up. The one thing we can see, though, is our body doesn't really throw out in front very much. And the best version of that we have on your squad at the moment is to see as you rotate, you're kind of just more side to side versus, see that rotation down out in front? We're very just side to side here. Side to side here. Where over here, we get to be foot down, and now we're rotating out in front. Versus side to side. And because it's side to side, we know that because the back foot just kind of barely comes up and goes side to side. Versus what this back foot probably does is up and around. But we do a lot of good stuff here. And this is just sequencing and timing. We're just missing out on little bits of stuff, which would help us get more out in front with maximizing our body's power potential like we have over here. So we're close. We're close, fellas. We're real close.